I've been invested in property for 10 years, made 8 figures, over £10 million, that is in profit, and people still think it's a scam. The aim in this video is to break down the most popular reasons why people think this and actually myth bust as I go through, and ultimately you can share your opinion at the end. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you some of my favorite scammer comments on my ads, like this one, and you can let me know your opinion at the end. I hate to say this, a lot of the negative perceptions of property have been funneled by two main parties, and one of them I vowed that I'd never speak about on this channel. So the first one is educators, and the reason I hate that is because I have an education company. We make millions through education over the years, and our industry is just terrible for it, and I'll get to that. And the other is politicians, which I promise I will not go down the rabbit hole of politics on this channel because frankly I won't stop. So let's focus on educators. I think there's a perception that in order to get a customer, you have to promise the world. And I just don't believe that. I believe there are legitimate people that want educating properly, that are not scared to invest in themselves. And I don't think you need to sell the dream. I think you need to sell the reality. And I think the reality is pretty exciting. So let's talk about some of the dreams that are sold out there. Property is easy. Anyone can do it. It's so easy to make money in property. I think we know that is absolute BS, right? But educators sometimes sell it, and then I think you convince yourself of it. Well, I think we know why they sell it as easy, because more people will buy from them, I guess. I always say it's not easy, it is simple, because let's face it, if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. So to give you an idea, it took me around 5 years to become a net worth millionaire. And net worth means if I sold everything, I would have £1 million in the bank. I don't mean I owned £1 million in property, okay? Very big difference. So it took me 5 years, but that wasn't year one, 200,000 net worth. Year two, 400,000. It kind of wasn't a straight line. It kind of looked like this. It was like a curve as we're going up, kind of like a exponential graph, if you like. So the reason why that's so important is when we draw graphs, we kind of draw it like this, don't we? Nice and smooth like that. The reality is it's kind of like this, all jolted, and in general has a upward trajectory that compounds naturally. So for example, if I'm 10 years in, I've invested obviously millions now into properties and stuff like that. If I stop today, my wealth will just accumulate and compound again and again and again. So was it easy to make that million? No, I fucked up loads. I lost money, I screwed up, trusted the wrong people, thought about this strategy, got shiny penny syndrome. It is far from easy. The reality is there is absolutely nothing about any business that is easy. Why? Well, how do you make money in the world? By solving problems. And when you build a business, you get bigger and better by solving the next challenge. It's called the problem-solution paradox. When there's a problem in your business, you solve it and you make more money. But if you solve it too well, which you should by developing it, it then creates the next problem. And so it goes from one to the other. So to wrap this up, it's not easy. You have to fail forward, and you need to understand that failure is a part of growth. So you educate yourself, you take action, you receive feedback. Hopefully you've got somebody coaching you through the next stage, and then you make more mistakes. If you're getting into this thinking it's easy, you've lost from day one. Linking into that, get rich quick. I saw a webinar the other day teaching deal packaging, and deal packaging is one of my core strategies. If you don't know what it is, it's where you find an investor, you find a vendor, somebody selling a property, match them together and get paid. Glorified estate agents, we are. So an estate agent that gets paid a lot more money, and you represent the investor rather than the vendor. There we go. And I saw this webinar going, quit your job in 30 days. It's a good hook, isn't it? Maybe we should do a video on that. But it's like, it's rubbish. It's absolute BS. And it really hurts the industry. But the reality is there's no sustainable business that is get rich quick. Now, could you do a deal and get paid within 30 days and maybe make 5 to 10 grand? Yes, that does happen. I would say if you went all out, there's a 5% chance of that happening. So it's absolute rubbish. The problem with focusing on get rich quick is you're not focusing on infrastructure. So let me give you the analogy. If you were trying to build a skyscraper and you went, do you know what? I really want to get to the penthouse so I can design the furniture in the room. It's like, I'm probably not going to go in that building, you know? Whereas if you focused on blueprints, how deep do we go in the foundations? and we've really focused on the quality, then you know by the time you get to the penthouse, not only is it going to be amazing, it will actually stay there, right? And the bigger the skyscraper you're looking to build, the longer you need to spend in the ground. And the reality is, let's go back to my first 5 years, when I was a net worth millionaire, was still driving a beaten up vehicle, and there is no way anyone would assume that I had any money at all. So do I believe property can change your life? Obviously, I think I am living testament, my mentees are living testament to that. It can change your life, but you have to put in the time, you have to put in the energy, you have to put in the resource, and understand that it is a get rich for sure, get rich slow, but certainly not get rich quick. I think the third reason is the educators that are out there. Now, I'm not knocking this at all. So you've got some of the bigger companies, and I won't name them. If you search, you'll find them. They're not really educators. So there's one down south, there's one around the Midlands. They're not educators themselves, they're promoters. And the people that own the companies, I have a massive respect for them. I'm friends with them. They're brilliant people. But they're promoters, right? And then each individual runs their course under that. And some of those individuals are phenomenal, incredible people, and some of them are to be desired, all right? And I'm not naming names at all. I'm not here to shit on anyone else. So you've got those. They're promoters, not educators. Then you've got direct educators, all right? And there's some really cool ones with amazing brands, very different brands to me, and they do incredibly well. But I would say 80% of educators, that is an absolute BS statistic, so don't keep me to it. I would say 80% of educators have barely made any money from property, genuinely barely made any money from property. Relative, okay? So they might have made, I don't know, a few 100,000, maybe 500,000, which is nothing compared to what they're making from their education companies. I'd say of the remaining 20%, 10% are making a significant amount of money, but they've made their money from education and then invested in property. And then there's the 10% that have invested. And yes, I'm being biased because I believe I represent that final 10%. So I'm not saying it's all bad, by the way, but just sell what's happened. I'm scaling aggressively right now. So we buy anything, we're aiming for 100 this year, to give you an idea of personal asset growth. So we're aiming to buy 100 more units, 100 more properties, right? Now, I am absolutely fine going, oh, by the way, how am I doing that? Well, I'm doing it because I've had 10 years of investing, 10 years of building businesses, and I make a fairly ridiculous amount of money that I don't need to spend. So I am investing almost every single penny, and I'm going to be cash flow struggling every single month. But yeah, and my education company is absolutely contributing to that. So what pisses me off, I'm not going to go into rant mode, I promise, team, don't worry. Not how or what or why, is that people pretend that it's not there. And I don't think people give a shit. If I said to you, by the way, roughly I'll make £1 million this year from my education company profit, and I'll probably reinvest about 300,000 of that into further infrastructure on top of other stuff, and then 700,000, obviously I'll pay some tax on that, unfortunately, and then what's left, let's say there's 500,000 left, I'll probably invest 500,000 of that into property, so that'll get me another £2 million worth of property. Are you upset by that? Are you upset that I've built a business that makes me good money? Are you upset that I make money from education? No. I think you'd be pissed off if I go, oh, I barely make anything from education. I don't make any money at all. And it's like, you're a fucking liar. So I did go into a rant. I lied, didn't I? So I think the reason why is because there's a lot of educators that make their money through education and not property. And I do get it from their point of view. Let's say I create a pre-recorded course, for example, and I charge you £5,000 for it. Well, if I sold that to 1,000 people or 10 people, the value to you hasn't gone down. And so the scalability is a lot higher than investing in property. So I think that is one that really does get into people's head. And I do not believe it's the fact that they make a lot of money. I think it's the misalignment of truth and integrity. Now that I've absolutely slagged off educators, including myself, this seems like the perfect time to sell you on education. Now, you know I'm a massive fan of education. I've invested over $500,000 myself in education. It's not a problem with education, it's who you're getting educated by. So I am going to pitch you, if you genuinely want to get educated, we run a 12-week program. It's called Elite Property Trading Academy. You can check out our reviews. We've got 705 at the time of filming. I think almost every single one is 5-star reviews. I think we've got like 5 1-star reviews. You could check those out as well. And genuinely, we work really hard. It's about $2,500 the program. You can book in a one-to-one consultation call with me and my team. And at the end of the call, if we feel it's right, we'll pitch you it. And if we don't, we'll just give you as much value as possible. There you go, transparency. We'll put a link in the description. Click on it, fill in your details. If you're struggling with the link, just put education in the comments and the team will sort it out for you. So why am I pitching education? Well, number one, I want to make money and work with people. But really, it's what makes a great educator. And by the way, at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you what to look out for, including with us, by the way, so that if you do choose to invest in yourself and back yourself, then make sure it's with the right people, whether that is me or any of the educators out there. The next reason people think it's a scam is viral jealousy. It baffles me. Like, social media, it just seems to draw out all of the scum. And actually, it's not scum. It's people... Like, when I reflect on somebody, like, say they're leaving a twatty comment, and there might be a few on here, especially after I've just pitched you after slagging myself off, right? So how bad does somebody's life have to be where they see somebody doing well and their instant reaction is they must be lying? And I get it, or genuinely I get it all the time. I'll give a great example. I've actually filmed ads in my office with my awards in, are there awards behind us? Oh no, it's YouTube one. So I've got like 2 Comma Club awards. It basically shows how much money we've made. You can see the office, you can see my team, and I'll still have people going, that's not his office. He doesn't do what he says he's doing. I'm like, you literally see my team on the phone. I've got recordings of them closing, you know, anyway, I'm going a bit bitter there. I often think, how bad does somebody's life have to be where they think like that? And then how shit does your life have to be where you want to actively stop your day and instead of just scrolling past going, that's not for me, leaving a comment with the sole purpose of trying to negatively impact that person. And it is really sad. And I think negativity is viral. And like, one of my favorite ones, I'm not going to name the person, he loves it, loves slagging me off online. And I met him in a room once, like, not deliberately, just I recognized him because he slagged me that off that much. And he walked up to me, introduced himself. He was like, I absolutely love your content, but like, really like kissing my ass. He was like, can I get a photo with you? I was like, yeah. And he did stop slagging me off after that, but that was it. And it's like, I realized that actually they just need the attention. They're just keyboard warriors. That's all it is. But I think sometimes the birds of the feather flock together, and I can't remember who it was, but there was this whole theory of like, if one person stops and looks up at a bird and they point, then somebody else will come and look up. And if there's 2 or 3, suddenly you'll get a crowd of 100. And that is what people are like. It's a crowd mentality. And I think sometimes you've been indoctrinated into one way of thinking. Think of school in 16 years, 2 years for A-levels, 3 years for an undergrad, 1 year for a master's, to go make a cup of tea for some arsehole 5 years ahead of you, right? And it's like, cool, and work your arse off, and by 68, is it now, you can retire. That is not my world I live in. It's not the world that I choose to live in. And yet, if you've been indoctrinated to think that way, then the idea of educating yourself in a new area and making 6 figures in a year might sound a little bit crazy. And sometimes it's easier to just have significant doubt in that being feasible than question why you're not in that position. So I said I'd show you some of my favorite scam comments at the end, and hopefully they're surrounding me right now. They are brilliant. They range from, how can you trust somebody with that size of forehead? That one was a personal favorite. Your hairline is running away from your eyebrows. Thank you. That was my mum. No, it wasn't. What else have I said? Absolute bullshit. Companies' accounts doesn't show this. They're my favorite ones. Shows a complete lack of understanding of what company's house is. There's so many of them. So the reality is, when you're reading stuff like that, well, how do you make your decision? So for me, I always like asking, well, how much money do you make from property alone? And for me, it doesn't need to be they're making millions of pounds, but are they achieving in property what you're looking to achieve? So for example, I know a really great trainer out there where they only make about 80 grand a year. profit in property. Now, that's a lot of money. I'm not knocking that. You might go, why is that person educating? It's like, well, because he educates people on how to get, I can't remember his actual pitch, but how to get a double the average wage, or I can't remember his wording. But it's like, okay, so he literally has achieved what he's teaching, and then he's selling a program showing exactly what he did and the mistakes that he made to achieve that. That's brilliant. That is absolutely fine. But I'd really like, so if your ambition is to do $250,000 a year working 10 hours a week, he's not going to be the person for you. So always check what are the results that the person that's running it actually achieved, and does that align with you? Number two, check out their credibility online. Like, did they pop up yesterday? If they're an educator but they started their property business 2 years ago, then that's probably not going to be for you. And a really big one is, do they have any form of accreditation? So CPD is a really big one. There's different levels of CPD, but make sure they've got those accreditations. So they're going to have shit said about them, every educator. Go on their Trustpilot, they're going to have hopefully a load of 5-star reviews. They're also going to have some 1-star reviews, and that's okay as well. I definitely do. Not everyone's going to be happy with me, right? But you're looking with people that actually have evidence of what you've achieved. Feel free to ask questions, by the way. On my web classes, I literally just show my bank statement, my bank account live, because it's easy to go, I make this sort of money. It's like, yeah, I could put it on a slideshow, but actually show it in the bank, right? So I don't mind people asking for proof. I think that's normal. Are they accredited? That's great. And what framework does their training do? So we like span it over a period of time so people have got to implement it. And finally, do you relate to them? I know there are many people that watch my channel that absolutely love what I'm talking about. And I know there's people that will watch 5 minutes of me and go, I don't know, he swears too much. I don't like the way he communicates. He's too colloquial or boring. I don't know. And that's fine. Like, what's really important is to find somebody where you're like, I like this guy. He's straightforward. I can listen to him for hours. And if that's not you, great, go find somebody that is. Now, one thing I will say about getting educated is, if you won't invest in yourself, why would anyone else? Like, why would somebody loan you money? Why would somebody buy deals off you? Like, if you don't back yourself, nobody else will. The reality is, property is factually not a scam. Like, can you ever see an opportunity or a situation where people don't want to live in a house? No. Can you ever see a situation where investors won't want to monetize on this? No. Great. So factually, there is no scam here. It's basic capitalism. And can you educate yourself to get from zero to hero in property? Yes. When I started, I was on minus 33 grand. But it is not get rich quick. It is not easy. It's simple, but it takes time. It's a get rich for sure strategy. It's a get rich slow strategy. And yeah, just make sure the person you're going to invest in for education ticks all your boxes. Feel free to ask for evidence. Feel free to check them out. And if you see something you don't like, ask them about that as well. Like, I've definitely got shit about me online, and it's like, I don't mind. Like, some of it's legitimate. I actually did fuck up, and some of it's bullshit. So if you do want to have a chat, by the way, genuinely, I've put a link in the description. You can book in. There's no obligations, completely free one-to-one call. And if we feel it's right for each other, great. If not, that's cool as well. If you're struggling with a link, put education in. But ultimately, I'd like your opinion. Is education a scam? Is property a scam? Let me know in the comments. Do you think I'm a scam? You know, like, whatever you want, put it in the comments. I'm not going to delete anything. I'll reply to as much as possible. I think it's time that we started looking at the realism of property. I hope this has been valuable for you. If you're new to the channel and you actually want to just get free education on property, I really pour my heart into this channel to add value. Make sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell. And if you did get value, tap the like button. And I look forward to having a call. See you in the next video.